Welcome back to Unbound Faith, everybody. Genesis 14. Here we are. It's really interesting how this chapter kind of comes out of nowhere. I mean, 1 minute we're talking about peaceful promises, and then, bam, royal rumble. King's battles, a mysterious blessing. It's a lot to unpack.
It really makes you think about the world that Abram was living in. We tend to picture him as this solitary figure, wandering in the wilderness, following God's call. But this chapter shows us that he's not just some isolated dude. He's got a place in a much bigger story, a bigger world full of political drama, just like we see today.
Right, and he kicks off with this King Chedorlaomer. Sounds like he was the top dog, at least for a while.
Until his own allies got fed up. I mean, talk about a rebellion. They basically said, enough is enough, and decided to take him on.
And Chedorlaomer does not mess around.
Yeah.
He's not going to let that slide.
No way. He launches a full-on campaign, crushing every single one of them, even goes after Sodom and Gomorrah.
And those names. They definitely ring a bell, even this early in Genesis.
Oh, yeah, they already had a reputation. Let's just say they weren't exactly known for their piety.
Yeah, we'll get into that more later, but even before that drama unfolds, we're thrown right into a battle in the Valley of Sodom. It's practically biblical Hollywood kings clashing in this desolate, tar pit-filled landscape. And guess who gets caught in the middle of it all?
Lot, Abram's nephew, living in Sodom, remember? Not exactly the best place to be when a vengeful king comes knocking.
And this isn't just some distant cousin, right? Lot is family. They've journeyed together, shared life's ups and downs. So when he's captured, it's personal for Abram.
Absolutely. And Abram's response, he drops everything, gathers his men, all 318 of them to go after Lot. Think about that for a second. 318 men against a massive, victorious army.
I mean, that's some serious courage. What's going through Abram's mind here? Was this normal for a leader in that time?
It's a great question. It tells us that Abram is a man of action. He's deeply loyal to his family. And he's not afraid of a fight. This isn't the passive shepherd we might picture from the earlier chapters, This is a leader willing to take huge risks to rescue his own. A strategic thinker, too. He launches a surprise attack at night.
And it works. He gets Lot back, along with all the people and possessions that were taken. Total victory.
Totally. And you know what happens next? Abram has this fascinating encounter with Melchizedek.
Okay, so Melchizedek is one of those figures in the Bible.
Totally enigmatic. He's like, who is this guy?
He appears out of nowhere, this king of Salem, and even that title, it's like layered.
Right, because is it just a place? Or is it deeper than that? Salem also means peace. So is he a king of a city, or is he symbolizing something more? I love that we don't get a straight answer.
We get both. And hold on, there's more. He's also called a priest of God Most High.
Okay, now that's a title you don't see every day, especially this early in the game.
It's huge. And then he blesses Abram. In the name of God Most High, directly connecting Abram's victory to a divine blessing. It's almost like this mysterious figure is confirming, like, yeah, Abram, you're on the right path. God sees you.
And there's one more layer here that just adds to the intrigue. Abram gives Melchizedek a tenth of everything.
A tenth. That's not just a small donation.
Hey.
In that time, to odds like that,
Yeah.
It wasn't just about money.
It was a huge statement. It meant that you recognized the person you were giving it to as having authority, like they were greater than you, worthy of respect and tribute, which just begs the question, what did Abram understand about Melchizedek to make him give that kind of offering? It's wild.
Right.
Like, was this just a king who happened to worship the one true God? Or was it something more? People have been debating that for centuries. Some scholars even think Melchizedek was a prefigure of Christ.
Wow. That just adds a whole other dimension to it.
It does. And the thing is, we don't get a clear answer from the text. That's part of what makes the story so powerful, though. It's like God showing up in unexpected ways through unexpected people makes you realize we don't have it all figured out.
Yeah, there's mystery in that. It's like an invitation to wrestle with our faith a little bit, not just take everything at face value.
Absolutely. And speaking of unexpected, we can't forget about Abram's encounter with the king of Sodom after the battle.
Oh, man, that's a good one. I mean, talk about a test of character.
It really reveals so much about Abram's heart and his priorities.
Because he wins this huge victory, saves everybody, including the king of Sodom, and then turns down a reward. That's not exactly how things usually worked, right?
Not at all. It would have been totally expected for Abram to accept something. He's the victor after all. But he flat out refuses. And it's his reasoning that's really important. He doesn't want the king of Sodom taking credit for his success. Doesn't want him saying, oh yeah, I made Abram rich.
So it's not about the stuff. It's about the bigger picture.
Exactly. It's about who gets to tell the story. And Abram He's making it crystal clear. My security, my provision, that's between me and God, not some earthly king.
That's powerful. And let's be real, kind of risky too, right? Defying a king like that
Yeah.
in that world,
Yeah.
that could have backfired big time.
No doubt. I mean, alliances could shift on a dime. You did not want to get on a king's bad side. So the fact that Abram was willing to risk that, it speaks volumes about his faith. He was all in with God.
He was drawing a line in the sand. This is who I am. This is where my loyalty lies. And it's not with the most powerful guy in the room.
It all points back to that central theme we see throughout Genesis, staying true to God no matter what, even when it's hard, even when it seems like everyone else is doing things differently.
Man, this chapter is packed. We've got kings going to war, this mysterious priest showing up out of nowhere, and then this incredible act of faith from Abram. It's a lot to digest. So if we're trying to bring this back to our lives today, thousands of years later, why does this story matter? What are we supposed to do with it?
I think that's where it gets really interesting. If you look at Abram in this chapter, he's surrounded by temptation. The temptation to grab power, to go along with what everyone else is doing, to take the easy road, even if it means compromising his values. And honestly, isn't that what we face all the time? Maybe not kings and armies, but the temptations are still there, right? The pressure to fit in, the lure of getting ahead, the voices telling us what will make us happy, what we deserve, who we should be listening to. Abram reminds us that real security, real blessing, it comes from somewhere else entirely.
Yeah, it's so easy to let the world set our priorities, to let ourselves get caught up in who has the power, who's making the rules. Abram's story reminds us there's a bigger picture.
It's countercultural, you know, this kind of faith. It means making choices other people might not get, standing your ground, even when it costs you something, what Abram had. That kind of faith. It makes you ask yourself, where does my loyalty lie at the end of the day? Am I willing to say no to what the world's offering, even if it means staying true to, to what I believe God's calling me to do?
That's a powerful question. I love how, even though we don't totally understand the whole Melchizedek thing, it still feels connected, Like maybe that encounter, strange as it was God's way of getting Abram ready for that test with the king of Sodom. Just a thought.
Totally. It's like, even when we feel like we're in it alone, facing impossible odds, making tough choices, we're not alone. Maybe that blessing from Melchizedek, the King of Peace. Maybe it's a little reminder that sometimes the greatest victories are the ones where we choose faithfulness, even when it's hard, even when it'd be easier to just go with the flow.
Genesis 14, man. Kings, wars, mysterious priests. Definitely leaves us with a lot to think about. Thanks for diving into it with me today. It's always great unpacking these stories with you.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure.
And to everyone listening, from all of us here at Unbound Faith, may you be blessed with the strength to stay strong in your faith, the wisdom to hear God's voice, and the peace that passes all understanding.